So as both an investor myself and as an agent that works with a lot of investors and developers, one of the most common frustrations I get from talking to other investors, developers in the industry is when they get pitched a deal by an agent that just does not make sense, right? Because the agent just does not know the numbers. At best, typically what developers say is an agent will maybe give them a ARV, right? An after repair value of what a home will be worth once they renovate it, then give them some super loose, hard construction costs, and then just basically subtract those two and say, here's your profit, what a great deal it is. Now, obviously you don't need to be an investor developer to understand that there's a lot more that goes into a development or flip or whatever it is. So what I thought I would do in this video is go over the key components of how to analyze deals as an agent for your investor and developer clients to look like a true sharp pro that understands both sides of the business, right? This way you can stand out from other agents to the developers and really make yourself known as someone that understands the business, knows the numbers, and can generate more business by working with investors and developers. So with that, let's get at it. What's going on, guys? My name's Lior and I'm a team leader over here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm excited to shoot this video for you guys talking about how to pitch investors and developers on a potential deal you may have as an agent. Now, before I get into that, two super quick things, guys. Number one, if this is your first time on my channel, first of all, welcome. Second of all, make sure you smash that subscribe button for me. I put out tons of new videos every single week talking about tips on how to grow your business as a real estate agent and how to grow your wealth as well, right? So both factors are super important. So if that's the kind of content you're looking for, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Now, as I said in the intro, I hear this frustration so much from working with developers. I work quite a bit with developers myself as an agent as well. And they all tell me just like how frustrated they are that agents just don't understand the numbers, don't understand like truly all the costs that go into it. So when they pitch a deal, it just usually is not anywhere close to being right. So I'm gonna break down the key components you need to understand and analyze as you pitch a deal to your investor developer client. That way you can look like a rock star and stand out. So let's start with the most basic component, right? Which is the comp or ARV, right? ARV is just after repair value, if you've never heard that term. But basically, if you're gonna go pitch a deal to a developer, right? Or a flipper, right? Whatever it is, you first need to tell them what you think the deal is worth once they do the work, right? So, and I usually like to start from the end, right? So what I'll do is a comp analysis, right? And figure out, look, if you do ground up construction, or if you do a gut rehab, or if you renovate kitchens and baths, here's what I think the home will sell for once that's done, right? And again, you guys as agents know how to do comps, right? So you can pull up comps, look for similar products, right? So if you're gonna look for ground up construction, look up a ground up construction single families with a similar square footage and same spec size. Obviously you need to know your market in different neighborhoods. That's implicit in this conversation, but you really wanna do a thorough analysis to understand, hey, if I do this work, if I build this ground up, if I gut rehab this, or if I improve the kitchens and baths, here is what I think you can ultimately sell this home for on the back end. Now, the next estimate I like to do for my investors and developers is an estimate of the hard construction cost. Now, this is certainly a little bit trickier, right? Especially if you're not an investor or developer yourself. But there's some easy ground rules and easy ways to get those estimations that I'm going to share with you guys, right? So, for example, on new construction in the Boston area, I know that typically it costs, let's say, $210 to maybe like $225 per square foot to build ground up. And I kind of know this because I have done a few new construction projects myself, but I've also just talked to other agents and other developers who have had experience doing that. And I literally asked them like, hey, what's your cost to build these days, right? And most guys are gals are more than happy to tell me, right? I've had plenty of people tell me, yeah, if I'm building like a ground up single family or ground up townhome, 2 townhomes or something, I'm usually around $210, $225 per square foot. You can also ask them for more detail, right? If someone's building, let's say, a 10 unit or 16 unit condo complex, that cost structure is probably going to be different, right? Because there might be steel involved, there might be a lot more site work. And I know, again, from talking to other investors and developers and asking them, right, and saying, hey, what's your cost to build? They'll tell me, you know what, our cost to build for this kind of project is probably closer to $250, maybe $275 per square foot, depending on the area, right? So you can get pretty decent estimations just by literally calling these guys up and asking them. Or if you don't have direct contacts, no worries, you can go ask other agents who may talk to other investors or developers, right? But the point is, it's pretty easy to get that rough ballpark. And once you do, right, once you have 225 per square foot number or whatever that number is for your specific marketplace, then it's very easy for you to go to the developer and say, hey man, you can build this project up. It'd be a 3,000 square foot single family at $200 per square foot. You're looking at about a $600,000 hard construction cost. Now, it could of course be a little bit different. You don't have to do it on a price per square foot basis, especially if you're talking to flippers who might only be doing kitchens or baths. Again, you can ask them what their cost structure is to do a project where they have to renovate a kitchen, a bathroom, and paint and doors or whatever it is. You can also, again, ask other agents and get that same data. But the point is, whether you're doing it on a price per square foot basis, whether you're doing it by project scope, there's easy ways for you to get estimations so that, again, you can plug those numbers in and really understand what it's probably going to cost the investor to do the project. And the last component, which is the component that 99% of agents miss and is a massively important component, is the soft cost component of a project, right? And soft cost is basically any cost that the developer or flipper will incur that's not directly related to labor or material of the project, right? So the first and most obvious soft cost you should always include, is going to be the back end commissions for the investor or developer, right? Because basically they're going to build this home, they're going to try to sell it, they're going to have to pay commissions, right? So you can do the math on, if you do the math on what you think the home is going to be worth once they build it, you can slap a 5% fee on it, and there you go. Now you have an estimate of what the broker commissions will be on the back end. You can also next figure out interest costs for that developer investor, right? Because especially for flip projects or ground up development, what's really nice is most financing methods will essentially finance the construction and acquisition at interest-only loans, right? And interest-only loans is super easy to do the math on in terms of what it's going to cost that investor or developer over the course of, say, 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, however long it takes them to build a project, to actually continue and pay that loan throughout the project, right? So, for example, let's say someone's going to buy a property for $800,000 and they're going to spend $400,000 renovating the property, and let's say the total loan amount is $1 million. Well, you can figure out exactly how much interest they would pay over the duration of, say, 6 months, right? Let's say you think they're going to get a hard money loan, which you can estimate at, say, 10 to 12%, right, per year. You can literally just do that $1 million times 10% is going to get you the yearly total interest amount that they're going to have to pay. If you think the project is only going to take them 6 months, you can divide that number by 2. If you think it's going to take them a full year, then there you go. It's just that loan amount times that annualized interest rate, right? And there you go. You just figured out exactly how much interest cost they're going to experience through the duration of the project. Now, you can also figure out pretty easily other soft costs. So other soft costs that are definitely going to incur will be taxes, right? Because they're going to certainly have to pay property taxes. And as agents, we can figure that out very easily. That's all public record. You can see what the property is assessed at, what the tax bill is. And again, depending on how long they're going to hold the property, if it's 6 or 12 months, you can figure out, what the tax bill will be. And there's another soft cost that investor or developer is going to incur. And then finally, depending on the actual project and scope, you might need to account for things like engineering, architect fees, zoning attorney fees, and all that. Now, again, you don't have to get super specific because, again, you're not the developer investor. But if you know this is going to incur, if this is ground up construction, right? Or this is a larger 10-unit project, you should probably talk to a couple developers, investors, and say, hey, what do you generally pay on these kind of soft costs like structural engineering, any civil work, any zoning attorney fees, architecture fees? They'll usually give you a very rough number. And again, your job is not to get an answer to the dollar amount. But if you can get a ballpark of, it might cost me say $60,000, $75,000. boom, there you go. You can put that number in, right? Or you know what, it's gonna cost me maybe $125,000. You know, there's a nice easy number you can essentially account for in your calculations, right? So by doing the soft calculations for the back-end commissions, the taxes, the interest costs, any other like engineering or attorney fees, right? Now you can essentially come up with a full analysis for your developer and investor and say, hey, look, you buy this property for $800. You're going to put in $400,000 probably of construction. You're probably going to have around, let's say, $200,000 of soft costs. Your all-in cost, 800 plus 400 plus 200, is going to be 1.4 million. But I think you can sell this, you know, this brand new single family for 1.8 million. There's a true profit margin of 400,000. Now that will make you look like such a rock star to developers, because again, I know that 99% of agents don't do this. So not only is it going to help you win that relationship with that potential developer investor, right? Because they're going to say like, hey, this guy gets it. He understands what it actually takes and all the costs associated with it. But it also will increase the chance that you might get the back-end listings yourself, right? Because ultimately, if you sell a deal to a developer, ideally you're the listing agent on the back end for the brand new product. So being prepared and really understanding the business model and understanding the numbers for the developers not only increases the chance you get the deal done on the front end, but will increase the chance that you get the deal, that you also get the listing on the back end. And I've used this over and over again in this exact strategy. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. If you have any questions, any comments, just put them below.